Hey everyone, I'm Linnea Baker, a board certified family nurse practitioner, a certified health and well-being coach, as well as a gut health specialist. And I just want to welcome you to Tips and Tea with Linnea FNP. And today we're talking about autoimmune disease. It's a topic really close to my heart because I've lived with two autoimmune diseases, and I really do help many clients who have autoimmune disease as well. And I want to share with you what I've learned as a clinician and as someone who's navigated this journey herself. So we're going to cover autoimmunity, what it is, why it seems to be on the rise, especially in women, and common triggers and symptoms, the role of inflammation, as well as how gut health, lifestyle, and conventional medicine all fit together. So go ahead and grab your cup of tea. I have my cup of matcha, which I love, and I'm excited to get started. So first, I want to start with my story living with what's called PBC. So in my 40s, I really started feeling extremely fatigued. I had anxiety creeping up. I wasn't sleeping well. I was bloated. I had really bad dry eyes. And I had muscle aches, guys, that were like a fire going throughout my body from my neck to my feet. It didn't feel like typical muscle pain. My feet would also feel like pins and needles at night. When I was trying to fall asleep, it was hard to fall asleep because those legs were so restless. And I actually was having restless leg syndrome with those pins and needles as well. So two separate things going on, okay? Then I had trouble I was gaining weight, and this was despite exercising routinely and doing all the things that I thought would help me manage my weight that used to work in the past, but they stopped working to manage my weight at that time. And it was really, really frustrating. And I know so many of my clients relate to this, and I'm sure many of you do as well. And I was really band-aiding myself. I thought this was just due to hormones, maybe perimenopause because of my age, also combined with a very full job working long hours in a really busy clinic. And I found out around that time that my liver enzymes were elevated. And then they had me do a liver ultrasound that showed fatty liver disease. So on top of that, I had other blood work done, and I had an elevated ANA. And that's an autoimmune test, blood test. And so I was referred to a rheumatologist. Rheumatology saw me first and diagnosed me with what they thought was Sjogren's autoimmune disease, just due to my symptoms, my clinical profile, my age, etc. However, my labs never showed a positive Sjogren's lab test at that time, so it was a little unclear. But symptom-wise, it looked like I had it, and I definitely had some type of autoimmune disease. They were pretty sure it was Sjogren's. Well, at this time, I'd already started changing my lifestyle, and I really was focusing on gut health and holistic health and wellness. And guys, I started thriving. My symptoms that had worn me down and made me look in the mirror, truly, I would look in the mirror and just wonder where my adventurous, fun, gypsy soul, zest for life had gone. My spirit was so down, and that spirit, that gypsy soul, adventurous soul returned as I started focusing on my lifestyle. I felt great. And I was still working a really busy, full-time, stressful clinic job as an NP during the pandemic, all while I started to heal and feel better with gut health. I was also referred to a gastroenterologist or GI liver specialist. And by that time, by the time I was seeing, guys, my liver enzymes had normalized, as did my liver ultrasound. So I cured myself of fatty liver disease through the healthy lifestyle that focused on gut health that I had started about a year and a half prior to being seen. And however, another one of my labs was elevated, called an ALK Phos. It was very slightly elevated just above the cutoff. So no biggie, I thought. My GI specialist, liver doctor, wanted to see me in a year for follow-up since my liver enzymes and everything looked good. He just wanted one more follow-up to make sure it stayed that way. And when he brought me back, he ran some other tests because he saw my risk factors, and he saw the elevated ALK Phos again, just a little above borderline high. And eventually I was diagnosed with primary biliary cholangitis, or PBC, which is an autoimmune liver disease. And in PBC, the immune system actually is attacking the tiny bile ducts in the liver, and this is causing chronic inflammation and slow damage. So learning this diagnosis was life-changing for me. And it turns out that PBC is actually pretty rare and mostly affects women. Over 90% of PBC patients are actually female. And that partly explains why I have it. So this personal experience combined with the clients I was working with really opened my eyes. Autoimmune conditions are not only common, they are actually increasing in prevalence and occurring in even younger women. And that's why I really wanted to talk about this tonight, because it was on my heart. So what is autoimmunity and how common is it? Let's break this down. Autoimmune disease occurs when the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own cells. And there are over 100 known autoimmune disorders. Some of them that you may realize are rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, lupus, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, that's one condition, type 1 diabetes, celiac disease, and many others. And in the United States, they affect a lot of people, roughly 4 to 5% of the population, or about 15 million Americans. But let me break that down for you. Another way to say that is around 1 in 15 people. 1 in 15 people have autoimmune disease. And shockingly, guys, women are disproportionately affected. Studies find women make up about 63% of autoimmune patients, which is almost twice the rate of men. Some diseases like PBC, lupus, and Sjogren's can be over 90% female. So if you're a woman and you're having these puzzling symptoms and you're not sure what's going on, autoimmunity should definitely be on your radar, right? So autoimmune conditions also tend to cluster. If you have one, maybe Hashimoto's thyroiditis, then you're more likely to develop another, like rheumatoid arthritis over time. I have a friend that has 12 autoimmune diseases. However, I will tell you, she's thriving, and I'm going to give you the tools. Autoimmune diseases, they span all ages, but they often start in young adulthood or midlife. And as I mentioned, are very common in women of reproductive age. Early awareness is key, because if we can catch these early, we can prevent long-term damage to organs, right? My PBC was caught early, and for that, I'm very grateful, because my liver is healthy and I'm doing all the things to help keep it healthy. So why are autoimmune diseases increasing? I wondered that. And while we know, I'm sorry, my words, why more people are dealing with autoimmune problems these days is a question that I actually get a lot, okay? People ask me this. I wondered this. And when I look in the research, it suggests the prevalence is rising worldwide. Markers of autoimmunity like I can't talk tonight. Anti-nuclear antibodies, or ANA, have doubled in some populations over a few decades. And diseases like type 1 diabetes, celiac, multiple sclerosis, and inflammatory bowel disease have all seen sharp increases in prevalence. And guys, the reasons really aren't fully understood still, but the consensus is that our environment and lifestyle have changed faster than our genetics. Think about it. Genetics set the stage, but the environment is actually what pulls the trigger. And when we look at twin studies that show over half of the risk for developing autoimmunity comes from non-genetic factors. So that includes exposures that we are amplified in exposure to in modern life. What are some of those? Infections like Epstein-Barr virus, or EBV, or even recently COVID, chemicals such as industrial pollutants, pesticides, plastics, heavy metals, and lifestyle factors, our diet, what we're eating, stress, sedentary behavior, and insufficient sleep. For instance, guys, some researchers note that pollutants and toxins and viruses are likely contributors. Diets have shifted toward processed foods and seed oils, and obesity has risen, which promotes inflammation, and many of us live with chronic stress. all of this creates a higher inflammatory load on the immune system. So it's not just bad luck, it's a combination of our genes combined with that modern environment. And the good news is that since many of these triggers are environmental, we can modify them. And that's where this holistic focus comes in that I am so passionate about and want to share with you today. I'm sorry, guys. All right. I get so passionate about this topic because I have dealt with it for a while, and I have been able to really make a positive impact on so many of my clients and how they feel and how they thrive living with autoimmune disease and chronic disease. So that's why I get so excited. I'm getting tongue-tied. So common triggers and symptoms. Every autoimmune disease has its own quirks, right? But there are common triggers and some shared symptoms. So triggers. Genetic predisposition is the first factor. So a family history matters. In my case, we had no family history, but my dad did serve in the Marine Corps in Vietnam and was exposed to Agent Orange. So I do believe that's part of where this comes from what I've been seeing. But then an outside trigger is often what ignites the process, that sparks that fire from having a genetic predisposition. So common triggers include infections. They can be viral or bacterial infections, which can kickstart autoimmunity in those people that are susceptible. So for instance, mononucleosis or EBV in lupus or MS. And Medline Plus notes that viruses and other things in the environment may trigger an autoimmune disease if you already have the genes for it. Now, chemical exposures. Everyday chemicals in our environment can confuse the immune system. Pesticides, plasticizers like BPA or phthalates, solvents, and heavy metals like lead or mercury, they've all been linked to autoimmune risk. So, for example, research on PBC found that certain compounds in nail polish called 2-octanoic acid, I believe is how you pronounce it, were uniquely capable of triggering the PBC specific antibody. So that's the reason I personally switched to non-toxic clean products and brand with Arbonne, because I know Arbonne has they avoid over 2,000 chemical ingredients considered unsafe in humans. And these are not in any of my personal care products or supplements I take. When I'm using Arbonne products. And they also have rigorous testing in Arbonne because they undertake this rigorous testing on every batch of every product that they offer. And we have over 400 products in Arbonne. And that is really unmatched and is why it's really why many holistic practitioners like myself brand with this company. For 5 years, I've been using Arbonne products, from their makeup to their skincare to their body care and to their nutrition, my health and my labs. And guys, my quality of life really are thriving on all cylinders. And I'm grateful Arbonne came into my life when it did. Okay, dietary factors. Some foods can actually trigger sensitive individuals, such as gluten is a classic example, especially if you have celiac disease. Gluten's a huge trigger and really a poison for you. Highly processed foods and additives can also promote gut inflammation. And gut dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of the gut microbiome, where there's too few good bacteria and too many harmful ones, so it's kind of unbalanced. That's a hot area and topic of research right now. Gut bacteria modulate the immune system and a disrupted or dysbiotic microbiome or gut microbiome is strongly associated with many autoimmune conditions. Now, hormones, fluctuations in hormones from puberty to pregnancy to menopause can actually affect immune balance. And that partly explains why it's more prevalent in females, right? And then stress. Psychological or physical stress is a big trigger for flares, and up to 80% of patients report an unusually stressful event prior to their autoimmune condition flare-up. And chronic stress increases that hormone cortisol and other inflammatory hormones, and it disrupts immune regulation. Then there's medications and vaccines. So in very rare cases, and that's just according to the research available at this time, Certain medications or vaccines may trigger autoimmune reactions in people who are predisposed. It's uncommon, but worth discussing with your doctor if you suspect it, right? Because everybody's different. And that's where the research stands now. Things change in medicine as the science evolves. So when these triggers act, the immune system actually starts attacking the body's own cells. And the symptoms you feel depend on what organs are actually affected, but many autoimmune diseases actually share common symptoms, especially early on. So fatigue and just a general malaise feeling, you're feeling tired all the time, even after you rest. And that's one of the most important and most reported early symptoms. Low-grade fever or feeling generally sick. Maybe you feel achy or run down, like you're coming down with something, but there's no clear reason. It doesn't really declare itself or become a full-blown illness. It just kind of lingers and is low grade, and maybe you've seen the doctor and they can't put their finger on it. Pain and stiffness. Joints and muscles often hurt or get stiff. I remember when I used to wake up in the morning, I was so stiff when I first got out of bed. It took me a while to get going. I had to, as the day went on, I felt like I had less stiffness. Many people have joint pain if they have rheumatoid arthritis, especially, or muscle aches as part of their autoimmune disease. Swelling and redness. So inflammatory swelling, also known as edema, can happen in joints or limbs or organs. And the affected area may actually look red or feel warm. And Medline Plus explains that many autoimmune diseases cause redness, swelling, heat, and pain. And those are the classic signs of inflammation, right? Then skin problems. Rashes are common. You can have a lupus rash if you have lupus. Psoriasis has rash flare-ups. And psoriasis has plaques. Eczema flares. I have eczema. And also vitiligo, which is a patchy loss of skin pigment. That's an autoimmune condition. My nephew actually has that, and I used to see kids in the peds clinic with that. Digestive issues, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, maybe food intolerances, they can occur in conditions like Crohn's disease, celiac, or gastritis. I had a lot of digestive issues as well with my autoimmune condition. Neurological symptoms, maybe numbness or tingling. Remember I said I had tingling in my feet? Headaches or mood changes can happen, especially if the brain or nerves are involved, such as multiple sclerosis and thyroid disease. And then there's organ-specific signs. So each disease can have those unique signs. So for example, with the PBC, my disease, common early symptoms are really fatigue and itchy skin. Later, dry eyes and mouth, and upper right abdominal pain may appear. And if the disease progresses, it can lead to liver cirrhosis, liver cancer, and even require liver transplant. So this is really significant, right? And we want to stay on top of it and take care of ourselves. Flare remission patterns. So a hallmark is that the symptoms often wax and wane. You might have a flare, which is when those bad symptoms occur for days or weeks. And then it may follow that partial remission where you're feeling pretty good. This can be an unpredictable pattern. And that's actually typical with autoimmune disease. So one day you might feel okay, the next day a flare will hit. But I promise you, if you pay attention to lifestyle factors and things you're eating and sleeping and stress, you will notice triggers in your flare-ups. You will notice things that will set you off when you're following a holistic lifestyle. I have found it for myself. So because symptoms overlap so much, really diagnosing autoimmune disease can really be tricky. Sometimes it takes multiple doctors and tests before the pieces fit. And in fact, autoimmune patients often see 3 to 4 different providers over several years before getting a diagnosis. For me, I was having so much pain, I was actually referred to orthopedics first. And when they examined me and reviewed my case, they recommended rheumatology. And then I also went to a GI liver specialist, as I mentioned, because I had abnormal liver labs as well and an abnormal liver ultrasound. So what's the role of inflammation? Inflammation is the immune system's ammo, for lack of a better word, okay? It's how your body attacks invaders. But when the ammo's fired at your own tissues, okay, that's when problems arise. So in autoimmunity, chronic inflammation causes most of the damage and symptoms. For example, we have inflamed joints in arthritis, or we have an inflamed gut in Crohn's, and that leads to pain and dysfunction. So notice the symptoms that we listed: swelling, heat, redness, pain, and those are signs of inflammation, right? And our treatments often aim to reduce the inflammation for symptom relief. And that's why doctors target steroids. They use steroids, NSAIDs, which are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory disease drugs, or biologic agents. However, aside from medication, lifestyle changes also affect inflammation levels. And this isn't a huge part of Western medicine. It's not the standard of care right now, but hopefully in the future it will be. But diet is a big one, and we're going to talk more on that soon. But even daily activities count. So for instance, lack of sleep raises inflammatory markers, while when you exercise, you actually release anti-inflammatory signals. So my pain in my body used to be a 6 out of 10 on a pain scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst pain, 0 no pain. That was daily on a strong anti-inflammatory medication. And then I needed another medication, another pill, because I had a bad stomach side effect from taking the NSAID every day. And that was gastritis that would wake me up in the middle of the night with sharp stomach pain. I actually walked around with a bottle of Tums at home and work, the big, huge bottle from Sam's Club. I had one at home and one at work. And I literally used to pop Tums all day because my stomach was so upset when I was on that anti-inflammatory every day. Plus I was on that stomach medicine and I was still having problems. And that was still, I had pain, a 6 out of 10 throughout my whole body. Well, after I changed my lifestyle and focused on gut health, I was able to stop my NSAID medication for pain and the stomach side effect medication. I stopped those completely. My pain went down to a 0 out of 10 unless I had a flare-up, which then it was only maybe a 4 to 5 out of 10 for a flare-up, and it's very rare. At this point, I have less than one flare-up every 6 months. I used to have flare-ups a few times a month, and I was in a constant state of pain every day. So life-changing, guys, and that's why I get so passionate about this. Chronic inflammation over time really can wear on the body's organs. It's been called the common thread in many diseases, even heart disease. And that's why keeping inflammation as low as possible is so crucial. So when we talk about gut health, diet, stress reduction, etc., the unifying goal is often we want to lower your overall inflammatory state. And any drop in inflammation can mean less pain, more energy, and slower disease progression. And I can tell you that was the case for me and so many of my clients. So I want to talk about gut health and autoimmunity. We're going to circle back to gut health, really because it's my specialty, and increasingly it's really key in autoimmunity. So I want you to think of your gut lining and microbiome as your gatekeeper of the immune system. And a healthy gut lining, or your intestinal barrier, prevents harmful antigens from leaking into the blood. When that barrier is compromised, also known as leaky gut, undigested proteins and pathogens which are disease-causing organisms, can slip through and trigger the immune response. So numerous studies have shown that gut microbiota plays a really pivotal role in autoimmunity. So in simple terms, certain gut bacteria actually help maintain an immune tolerance. They signal to the immune system to calm down, while others can promote inflammation. So an imbalance or dysbiosis in the gut is strongly associated with diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, type 1 diabetes, and even neurological conditions. So how do we integrate this into a lifestyle plan? Well, here's some gut-friendly strategies for you. Fiber-rich plant-based foods. You want to eat vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, seeds. These are really good food for gut bacteria, for the good gut bacteria. And studies suggest high fiber diets and diverse plant foods actually protect against autoimmunity and support healthy microbiota. So we want to aim for 30 different plant foods per week, guys. And I know it sounds like a lot, but we start with baby steps. I have walked this journey for over 5 years, and I was not your veggie person every day. I had sugar cravings and hunger, but I will tell you, my taste buds changed as I got my gut healthy, I have a simple system that was so easy to do, even in an extremely busy lifestyle. I'm not a cook. I don't like meal prepping. I don't count calories. I don't like to be overly restricted. And it hit all those things as positive and good. And it was so easy for me to do. And then I started feeling so good so fast, it perpetuated itself and snowballed, and I got better and better. And I will tell you guys, I crave like raw broccoli and hummus now. I don't even want chocolate or baked goods. I mean, you can put them in front of me and I won't even eat them because I know those foods make me feel sick as soon as I eat them. And I feel great when I'm eating more whole foods. It is life changing. And I've had so many clients be hesitant and then trust and start the journey with me and then just absolutely blow up my phone or call me and tell me how amazing they feel and how grateful they are because I saved their life. And it truly is, you feel like your life is saved because your quality of life goes through the roof when you can start putting some of these into place. But it's not everything all at once because that can be hard to do. I have a simple system that worked great for me and so many of my clients, but putting these into place and building on these healthy habits is what's key. Next, we talk about fermented foods and probiotics. So yogurt, and it has to be the healthy yogurt, not the kind full of sugars and artificial dyes. Kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, or even a quality probiotic supplement, all can introduce beneficial microbes and bacteria. And probiotics have shown to promote a balanced immune response and may help manage autoimmune disease. So for example, certain lactobacillus strains can actually increase anti-inflammatory Treg cells in the gut. Powerful, right? It's amazing what we're finding out. Now, bone broth and gut healing foods. So homemade bone broth or L-glutamine supplements are often used to nourish and repair the gut lining. I get my L-glutamine in several of my nutrition products and supplements that support gut health from Arbonne, and I'm thriving. Diet elimination trials. If you suspect something specific like gluten, dairy, or soy is triggering you or bothering you, you can do a short elimination trial of that food to see if you notice a difference. And some people with autoimmunity feel markedly better after removing the foods their systems are reacting to. So I found this out by doing a 30-day gut detox reset system. It was simple, gave me healthy swaps. It didn't feel like a diet, like I said, and I didn't have to meal prep or do any calorie counting, which was a huge win for me to be able to do this, especially working 60 to 80 hours a week in a clinic. And following this 30-day, I actually learned what foods were triggering me and what foods were supporting my body and my health. And it really was truly eye-opening, and it what led me towards being a holistic practitioner and down this road with food as medicine. It was taking my pain and turning it into purpose to help all of you, to help my clients, because it's so powerful. We don't realize how sick we are until we realize how good we're meant to feel. And when that light switch goes off and you start thriving and feeling great and the pain goes away and you're able to take down some medications for symptoms with your doctors, it's powerful. And that starts the process of that snowball effect, and it ripples out into holistic health. I had someone on day 3 of a 30-day gut detox reset tell me she hasn't exercised in years. She woke up on day 3 and just felt like moving and did a 3-mile walk and felt great. It's because of gut health and what we do when we change the gut. It's the command center of the body. It impacts everything, guys, I promise. Also, we want to stay hydrated and chew well. So it sounds simple, but really dehydration and eating quickly can aggravate your gut. So drink enough water and eat mindfully. I am so bad at that. I'm from New York. I'm used to eating in clinics and hospitals where we didn't really have lunch, and I gobble my food down. So that's a work in progress, but I do drink tons of water. And matcha tea, of course. So I explained to patients that 70 to 80% of our immune cells actually line our gut. So literally your diet and gut care feed or starve your immune system. And in my case, focusing on gut health alongside traditional Western medicine therapy actually made a noticeable difference in how I felt. And truly, the improvement in my quality of life and removing and eliminating those symptoms was because of my lifestyle change. But obviously, there's a place for Western medicine too. And I do follow my doctors and take specific medications for root cause. And they're very aware of what I do and what supplements I'm on. So beyond the gut, we need to look at the whole picture. And I want to give you a friendly checklist of just holistic strategies that synergize with medical care. First off, anti-inflammatory diet. You've heard this before. We want to emphasize whole, unprocessed foods. So foods that aren't in the drive-through, in a box, in a bag, for the most part. Colorful vegetables and fruits, berries, leafy greens, cruciferous veggies like cauliflower and broccoli. They're packed with antioxidants and fiber. And when we eat these veggies and plant foods, they actually have phytonutrients, which are what the plant uses to defend itself against harsh environment. It's like the plant's immune system. We're getting that when we eat plants, guys. So how powerful is that? And antioxidants, we only get those if we eat plant foods. We don't get that from in our body. We have to eat it. So we want those foods packed with antioxidants and fiber. And then include omega-3 fats, fatty fish like salmon, but any fish you're eating, including salmon, make sure it's wild caught. That's a big difference. It has to be wild caught. Also, walnuts and chia seeds have good omega-3s in them. And they also have natural anti-inflammatory properties. You want to cook with extra virgin olive oil, and you want to use herbs and spices like turmeric and ginger is great for us. Minimize those processed carbs like sugary drinks and baked goods and cookies and sodas and all those things. And also trans fats we want to eliminate. Now, healthy fats like coconut oil and avocado oil, those are great. So don't try to eliminate all fats. We actually need healthy fats. We just want to get rid of the trans fats, which are the bad fats. And studies show that a diet can dampen inflammation and actually improve autoimmune symptoms, which I saw because I'm fueling my gut health. And many of my patients do well on a Mediterranean style or plant forward diet. And as for me, my lifestyle is more leaning towards Mediterranean. And obviously I'm using my Arbonne nutrition supplements to fill in my nutritional gaps and help me thrive. Also, regular movement, gentle, consistent exercise, guys, is so gold, and it's underrated. We need to realize movement is key. It's how we were designed. Even just doing a 20 to 30 minute walk most days can help reduce pain and stiffness. It can actually boost energy as well. And exercise releases endorphins, which are natural painkillers, and they reduce those inflammatory cytokines. So if you're new to movement, start small. Maybe it's a short walk. Maybe it's 5 minutes. But after each meal, maybe it can help you with digestion. Maybe you start a daily stretching routine or a light yoga routine. Key is consistency and avoiding long periods of sedentary behavior where we're just sitting at a desk all day at work, okay? But again, if you have chronic medical conditions, especially like heart disease or certain things with orthopedic type stuff, musculoskeletal stuff, neurological things, just check with your healthcare specialist to see what's okay for you. They will tell you all doctors want us increasing our movement, but you would just want to do it safely. So just double check with them what's safe for you and good for you. Quality sleep. You just have to treat sleep as a prescription. It's that important. We need a minimum of 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night as an adult. And while we're sleeping, our body is actually repairing tissues and resetting our immune system. So poor sleep keeps our stress hormones elevated, and it actually is fueling the inflammation. So we want to establish a good bedtime routine. We don't want screens. We want low lighting. We don't want bright lights. Maybe have an herbal tea. I have an amazing detox herbal tea I drink every night from Arbonne that is great to support my liver and my kidneys. And of course, I'm working on all of the things for my liver. And it's part of a holistic treatment plan. You want to maintain a healthy weight, guys. Extra body fat can produce inflammatory chemicals like leptin and TNF alpha. So if you're overweight, gradual weight loss through diet and exercise can actually improve your autoimmune symptoms. Even just a 5 to 10% weight loss has notable benefits. So focus on nutrient dense rather than deprivation. So if you're 200 pounds, 5% is 10 pounds. And you can do that gradually. You don't need to do it quickly. And that can make a huge difference in so many things. And I know everyone is always focused on weight loss, but when you're eating healthy and focused on gut health, the weight loss comes as a natural side effect and you don't feel like you're deprived or starving, I promise you. Avoid toxins. So we talked a little bit about personal care and environment earlier. You want to do what you can to reduce those chemical exposures. So use natural cleaning products, choose fragrance-free toiletries, avoid plastics for food storage, especially heating, and filter your water if possible. So, for example, I personally switched to those clean beauty and household products in Arbonne's line to minimize exposures, right? I use Arbonne's hand soap at all my sinks in my house, for instance. This isn't a mainstream medical prescription, but it is a low risk step. It's practical and it can show huge benefits to so many, including myself and my clients. You want to use supplements wisely. Some supplements can help, but always discuss this with your doctor. You do want to make sure you're not doing anything that can interact with your medications. They need to know what you're taking, even if it's an over-the-counter supplement. I remember those days being in Western medicine, doing those intakes, and it does make a difference. Commonly recommended ones include vitamin D because many autoimmune patients are deficient, so D regulates immunity. My vitamin D is excellent. I take a supplement every day. Again, I use Arbonne omega-3 fish oil, probiotics I get from Arbonne, the probiotics, and sometimes specific botanicals like turmeric or curcumin for inflammation can actually help you with due diligence in helping get that inflammation down. And really, guys, do your due diligence in researching quality control testing of the products. It's really important to read the labels, read the ingredients. You want to make sure there's no filler in the products or other harmful ingredients. Just because it's a supplement does not mean they are all created equal. You want to avoid sucralose or any kind of artificial sweetener, artificial dyes, artificial flavors. You want to avoid those things. So make sure you read the labels and understand the ingredients in them so that you get the cleanest, best products and you're not having anything that's got heavy metals or fillers or contamination in it or other ingredients in it that are harmful for you. I promise you, I've seen it all. Community and mental health. When you live with a chronic disease, it can be really isolating because a lot of times you can't see it on the outside and it can be really hard. You need a good support group. You want to build that support network. You can join a local support group or an online forum to connect with people who understand. I do caution this though, because I have joined a support group for PBC on Facebook and I see so many people struggling and it can be unnerving. So make sure you set some boundaries for yourself when you're in these support groups so that you feel supported but not overwhelmed or worse off with the support group. I really want to help all these people in this group. And then at times it gets so depressing, I have to take a pause from it because too many people are just feeling so sick and it's overwhelming because I'm grateful I'm not, but I'm doing things to thrive. And I can see the gap and the difference in what I'm doing. And the people who are feeling well in the group I'm in, they are also doing lifestyle things as well. Engage in hobbies. Maybe you go to therapy or counseling. Maybe you lean into spiritual practices. Any of those can feed your resilience and feed your soul and give you that energy and grit that you need to fight and keep going in this. If you're looking for a spiritual holistic coach to help you rise and shine and really be bright and align with the life you were meant to have, I actually have a really good friend I can recommend who works with clients in that space and helps you get back to your center and your purpose and your calling and helps you walk that journey. And she's very powerful. So if you're looking for someone, now she's not a therapist. Psychotherapy and coaching are very different. You may need both, but she is extremely powerful and I'd highly recommend her if that's the space you're looking in to kind of get back to center and be empowered to thrive, because that really ripples out into our world and impacts our family, our children, our community. Because as women, we do so much and I want women thriving and not just surviving, feeling like crud every day with these chronic diseases, especially autoimmune disease. So by addressing all these areas, you're basically stacking the deck in your favor. Like I said, the people that are doing this, like myself and my clients, we feel better. Each little change, and it doesn't have to be everything at once, better food, more movement, less stress, it just chips away at the inflammation load on your body that you're carrying and it helps you feel better. So let's talk about working with Western medicine. You know, we focused on lifestyle, but we don't want to forget the role of the healthcare team. I was trained in Western medicine, and there is a place for it. Western medicine specialists really do play a crucial role in diagnosing and treating autoimmune diseases. They have advanced tools like blood tests such as ANA, rheumatoid factor, and TSH, as well as imaging like ultrasounds and MRI, and prescription medications that can help treat, especially root cause or symptoms while you're trying to figure out the lifestyle approach if you need it. So, for example, in rheumatoid arthritis, there is a rheumatologist that might prescribe methotrexate or a biologic TNF inhibitor to prevent joint damage. That's important because once in rheumatoid arthritis, the joint is damaged, we can't reverse it in Western medicine. So you want to prevent it from being damaged and misshapen because that will change the function of what you're able to do. In lupus, doctors might use hydroxychloroquine or steroids. And in my case with PBC, my hepatologist, which is a liver GI specialist, has me on ursodiol, basically, or urso is what it's called. And that slows down liver damage. And these medications can be life-changing, and they're often needed to prevent organ damage, even while we're pursuing holistic strategies for overall health. So just remember, working as a team is key. Keep all your doctors informed about your lifestyle changes. And some supplements, like I said, may interfere with medications, so they need to know what you're taking. My specialists all know all of the supplements I'm taking with Arbonne, and they are very supportive and keep using them because they're working. But they know everything I'm on. And if they need to see the ingredients of the supplements, I can bring them a PDF. The company is extremely transparent. Not every company is transparent like that. I brand with Arbonne because they're transparent on their ingredients as well as their rigid, rigorous testing and the ingredient policy, not only what they allow in the products, but over 2,000 chemical ingredients they don't allow in the products, right? So, but I have the ability to show those ingredients to my healthcare providers if they need them to make a decision. And also, your healthcare providers can track appropriate labs. So for me, I need liver enzyme levels. I need that ALK-Phos blood work. I need to track my bilirubin levels. For someone with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, they have to check a TSH and a T4 level. If you have MS, it might be MRI scans and neurologic exams. Monitoring does help know the disease is progressing or staying stable. I go in for routine checks. So there is a place for both holistic and Western medicine. And a lot of times if I have clients who are feeling bad and have not had basic lab workup or things in a while, I'm sending them back to their primary doctor to start the workup to make sure we're not missing a thyroid disease, an iron deficiency anemia, or an autoimmune disease. So one helpful note from the research is that some experts say if we identify and remove triggers early, we might halt or even reverse disease progression in some cases. So what does that mean? It means that a combination of medical treatment and trigger removal strategies like diet change, toxin reduction, and stress relief could, in theory, allow the body to reset. Our body is smart. It knows how to heal, guys. Food is medicine. We shouldn't promise a cure. It's rare, right? But many patients can achieve long periods of remission and greatly improved quality of life just by this integrative approach. Look at me and many of my clients as well. So key takeaways for managing autoimmunity. I just want to summarize some of the big ideas in this, just a friendly list to help you remember. We want to stay informed and observant. So learn about your condition. Be curious. Ask questions. Be your own advocate. Keep a symptom diary. Notice how your body reacts to foods, to stress, to sleep. And then that can help guide adjustments. I know sleep for me is a big one. If I don't get enough sleep, my body does not function as well. I don't feel as good. So as I've gotten older and with my autoimmune disease, I need good sleep at night. Focus on your diet. Like I said, food is medicine. A nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory diet with lots of veggies, fiber, omega-3s, minimal processed foods, really eliminate the refined white sugar. We don't need it. It helps calm the immune system. And each meal is a chance to nourish and heal your body. Because when you give your body the things it needs to nourish and heal, it will take those nutrients and start helping your body heal. I have seen it, guys. It's incredible, and the research is there to support it. Move gently and regularly. Even simple daily movements can signal your body that it's strong and capable. It's a mindset shift. Regular exercise lowers inflammation. It boosts mood. There's so many great things. We're meant to move. We're too sedentary in this culture in the United States. So please, as long as you don't have restrictions, start out slow. It doesn't need to be anything huge to start, but just start building your movement goals. Also, the other thing I said, prioritize sleep. Good, consistent sleep is when your body does its repair work. So treat it as an investment in your health. It's not optional. Like I said, it's another medical prescription. You want to manage stress. You got to build stress reduction into your routine. It can be as simple as 5 deep breaths between tasks or a short walk with a friend. Remember, stress physically affects immunity. I actually left the busy, crazy, long hours in clinic that I used to do and shifted and do this full time. And it is wonderful because it allows me to work any schedule I want to work. I can work as much or as little as I want. And I get to design my schedule, basically. It gives me that freedom and flexibility to be my own boss. And that is powerful because I can go with how I'm feeling and what my body needs that day and schedule appointments accordingly and not be forced in a box to see X amount of patients every day all week long without a break. Okay, that's huge. Support your gut. Remember, include fermented foods like a probiotic. Avoid the diet whites like sugar and white flour are awful in this country, in the US. And consider those short gut healing protocols because a healthy gut flora equals a more balanced immune system. So remember, I have like a 30-day gut detox reset that is powerful. However, guys, when I travel to other countries outside the United States, I can eat the bread and the pastries and things because it's not like in our country. They don't have all the chemicals in it. The food is grown differently. Like it doesn't flare up my autoimmune. I was in Japan last year visiting my son, and I ate all the foods and had a great time and had no issues. It's because the foods they're different. They have different ingredients. They're healthier and cleaner in other countries. I promise you. I do a lot of traveling out of the country, and a lot of people tell me that. Linnea, when I go to Italy, when I go to Mexico, when I go out of the country, I can eat what I want and I'm fine. When I come to this country, I eat the same things and I feel sick. I said, I feel your pain. I'm the same way. And it's just how many toxins and chemical ingredients that are unsafe that are in our food supply. It's really sad. So when we know better, we can do better, right? I'm going to empower you guys. You want to use clean products. Switch to non-toxic personal care and household products. Remember, guys, I've used Arbonne's clean skincare and supplements for the last 5 years, and I have found fewer skin, autoimmune flare-up issues, and even better lab results. There's no official study here, but in my personal anecdotal experience, it ties into the research that we saw about chemicals in PBC. It's a no-brainer. I'm taking all the chemical toxins out, and I know I've got 2,000 chemical ingredients considered unsafe that are out of all those products I'm using with Arbonne. So it's a no-brainer. I don't need to study each chemical ingredient. I just know that it's like a bubble around that I'm avoiding all of those, and I'm making a huge dent in my environmental toxin exposures. Work with your doctors, take your medications as prescribed, attend all your appointments, share with them your holistic efforts too. Because remember, some medications might need to be adjusted based on habit changing, especially if you're diabetic and you're changing your diet, your nutrition. Just work with your healthcare provider because they will know how to guide you on this. And trust me, they want you eating healthier. They want you moving. That's our goal. We want to help patients thrive. If you have initiative to do this, just talk with them and they'll help you. Be patient and positive because it takes time. Celebrate the small wins. Maybe your energy is a little bit better today. Maybe your joint pain's a little bit less. Maybe you slept really good. But keep that hopeful mindset and combine. And remember, we're combining science and lifestyle because it's helped many people feel so much better, including myself. Guys, in closing, autoimmune disease can really feel overwhelming, but I want you to leave here feeling empowered. You've learned that autoimmunity is common. It affects millions, mostly women. It's tied to both genetics and the modern environment, and it often means chronic inflammation's at play. And importantly, we also discuss the practical things you can do, you're empowered to do to improve gut health, eating anti-inflammatory foods, moving, sleeping, managing stress, and yes, choosing clean products to reduce toxin exposure. For myself, integrating these habits over the last 5 years has really made a noticeable difference. My liver enzymes have normalized. My labs are truly phenomenal and better than when I was in my 20s. My flare-ups are extremely rare. And when my flare-ups do occur, it's usually because I ate an inflammatory food like gluten or refined white sugar in the United States. I don't claim a cure. PBC is lifelong for me, but I have controlled the symptoms and significantly improved my quality of life from lifestyle, not medications to treat the symptoms. I do take my medications for root cause treatment, and my doctors and I communicate on everything I'm doing. And I share this to empower you because when you know better, you can do better and advocate for yourselves. Thank you all for listening and being part of this community. Just keep asking questions and being curious. Keep trying small changes. And remember, autoimmunity is a journey. You're not alone on it. Take care of your body, support your health team, and give yourself grace. You've got this. And for those of you who would like guidance on a personalized lifestyle to meet your health goals, or maybe you're interested in a 30-day gut detox reset, please reach out to me. You can private message me, or you can comment below in the Facebook Tips and Tea private group that you're in, letting me know that you'd like to connect. Guys, a quick disclaimer: all information presented is for educational purposes only. This information is not intended to prevent, treat, diagnose, or cure. If you believe you have symptoms of these conditions or others, please consult with a healthcare professional for personalized medical advice. Guys, thank you so much. I am so grateful for each of you for giving me some of your valuable time. Until next time, please be safe.